Welcome to the Natural Genius podcast. We're here to help you tap into your natural genius. Let's go. Peppie is one of these people that you can describe in many, many different ways. She's a surfer, an actor, a mum, a partner, a grandmother, a spokesperson for Water Life, a tour operator in Noosa, where she takes people out to meet the whales and the dolphins and enjoy that incredible area. I hope you enjoy listening to Peppie. It will be a many and varied conversation, and quite possibly I'll be in constant awe. Enjoy listening to Peppie. Peppie, welcome to the Natural Genius podcast. I'm so very much looking forward to this conversation. When last we caught up, you were headed to Hawaii. How did Hawaii go?
Unbelievable, Sam. It was unbelievable. We spent every day in the ocean with the dolphins, the whales, monk seals, pilot whales, oceanic white-tip sharks, manta rays. It was just, the ocean in Hawaii is just, it completely does something to me. I'm still so charged, a month later. It really, really deeply affects me. And there's, like incredible clarity, and there's this incredible light in the water there. But of course, I caught up with my most incredible friend, Joan Ocean. And, she's in her mid-80s now. And, spending time with a person who is, and I can say this to you, is pretty much most of the time in 5D. Absolutely. She's mastered shifting between the two.
Sorry to interrupt, Pep, but just tell me, like, for people who don't know what 5D is, the reference, can you just give the layman's version of that?
So, we live in this three-dimensional reality, which is really quite a dense energy a lot of the time, and there's a lot of negative forces and there's a lot of fear. In 5D, none of that exists. It's just pure love. It's like spending time with the whales and dolphins on land. And this woman, Joan, she's in her mid-80s, and the love coming from her and the vibration and the frequency is so beautiful. You cannot be in anything other than a state of bliss, just being in her presence. So we spent every night with her, doing incredible meditations and talking. There was over 30 women from all over the world that were healers, and just did all amazing things. So it was, so you can imagine all morning in the ocean and then all evening with Joan Ocean. It was, I've really come back it's definitely shifted me again, which is what I was really hoping it would do, because, sometimes I get really affected by what's going on around me. I'm very much an empath, and especially people who treat people badly. It really affects me, and all the fear that's around. And being there in Hawaii is just really, I guess, just charged me inwardly. So things that were affecting me before are not affecting me in the same way. And I did have a couple of, probably 3 outstanding memories, if you'd like me to share them with you.
Oh my God, I do. And I've got a split brain right now, Peppie. I kind of want you to introduce you and to hear more of the earlier Peppie, but I'm also very conscious that the now and what's happening for you now is so important. So please tell us about Hawaii and those special experiences.
Yeah, so very interesting, Sam. They've actually brought this rule in that you're not allowed to swim with dolphins anymore there, which is really sad. So every time we went out, the dolphins didn't appear. It was really amazing. And I've never seen this, but they kept saying, we're not going to get you into trouble. So they didn't come around. But as soon as the seminar finished and we were able to go to a private beach, I had 3 hours with them in the water, and it was so magic. And they just brought their love. I had a dolphin swim up to me and gift me a golden heart-shaped leaf. And I thought, the dolphin wants
Oh,
to play
Peppie.
the leaf game. And it just kept going past and just giving love. And I just got this very strong message. This is a gift from our heart to yours. Welcome back. Because I hadn't been there for a few years. And the last time I was there, I had actually disappeared with the dolphins for a few hours in the bay. um, where I went, I don't know. That was one incredible moment. I've also been gifted a beautiful song from the Northern Canadian grandmothers that they've asked all the women in the world to sing to honour the waters, and it's the most beautiful song. So we were sitting out one day just on our little private boat, and I started singing this water song to honour the waters, and this mum and calf humpback whale came right up and sat next to us in the boat. And they did this twice. And the calf was rolling. They were talking to each other because we had the GoPro underwater, filming them. We could hear them talking. It was like they knew this song. They knew the vibration of the words of this song because we're honouring the water. And of course, the water for them contains all the information and all the knowledge that they are decoding the water all the time. So that was another incredible moment with this mum and calf. And then one evening we were sitting with Joan in our group, and she started talking about Atlantis. And I was in a great state of mind. I was like, and she said these exact words. She said, in Atlantis, the priests were the dolphins. And I had this unbelievable experience in my body. And all I can say, it felt like fireworks going off. And it was like this full body memory and recollection of this. And I burst into tears because there was so much energy going through my body. And then I went really cold and I was shaking like I went into shock. It was the most unbelievable experience. And Joan came up and she said, she held my head and she put her forehead on mine and she said, we were there together. And it was just like everything became even clearer than it already was about my connection with these animals and the ocean and everything. So, these experiences don't happen very often in your life. And so, yeah, Hawaii's just next level for me. So it's charged me up ready for my new season.
Your new
Very
season, Peppie.
exciting.
I
Yeah.
must admit, we caught up a couple of months ago and you've got even more vibrancy about you. When last we caught up, you were talking about your childhood. I do always have a bit of a curiosity about family and support structures around people that grow them into the adult and beyond. Peppie, it's so hard to get all of your many accolades and your many chapters of life in. And
Oh,
isn't that life well lived? Isn't
yeah.
that something to be just so delighted by and proud of?
It's very special. And, the older you get, the more you realise there's nothing that you ever do in life that's not connected with something you're doing now. Everything is connected. And it's like I've been in training my whole life for this, and it feels very, very special to be able to talk, to be able to share this knowledge, to be able to go out on my boat and to speak with people. It really feels like a beautiful gift. And I guess the water, I was nearly born in the water at the beach. My mum had to race to hospital and only just made it. And then we moved to England for 5 years because my grandmother was dying. And those 5 years, all I did was swim and train in the pool. And again, I had to be in the water. But this was something I wasn't really aware of. It was just that I guess I was a good swimmer and, people saw that in England. And so I was training with the Olympic Scottish coach and, my whole life was the pool again. And then when I came back from England, that's when I just had to be at the ocean. That's where my whole surfing journey started. When I saw those waves and all those guys out there, because there wasn't any girls then, out there riding those waves, and I thought, I've got to do this. So everything I've done connects with that. So, you know, surfing has and is still a really, really big part of my life. And, you know, I was one of the early pioneers of women's surfing, and now I'm just encouraging women to surf, and also encouraging the master women like myself to keep going. So I still compete and still surf very regularly. So, and then I had a swim school for 18 years. I actually still have it, where I was bringing the babies and the children to the water so that they could let go of their fear of the water. Everything has been connected to the water, everything. And it still is. And now, of course, we have our beautiful boat, Whalesong Noosa, taking people to the ocean and other places, actually. We've been doing some beautiful trips up the Everglades here in Noosa, connecting with nature and the nature spirits and walking the land and things like that, which has been really special.
Peppie, let me interject with 2 extra bits to the conversation. Australia Day Award for Surfing contribution that I noticed in your many accolades. And also our dear friend Iris Ray Nunn that you're doing one of the Everglade tours with.
Do you know the ocean? And I tell this to everybody now because I think it's really important we know the ocean is the greatest medicine on this planet. So even just being by the water, by the ocean, our brains and our nervous system listening to the waves coming in slowly, to the sound of the ocean, to the smell of the ocean, even before we get in the water, there's this very calming effect. But then when we get into the water, as you go underneath, there's receptors under your eyes that send a message to your heart to slow down. There is so many things that happen when you go into the salt water. It actually charges all your nervous system electrically. We are swimming in salt, which is crystal. It also boosts all your happy drugs. It increases circulation. So the composition of the minerals of the ocean is so similar to the minerals in our blood. So somewhere we have had this very, very deep connection to the waters. And I talk to the waters all the time. I sing to the water. I sing this grandmother's song. And it's incredible the results that I've been having. It really, really is. And it's got to the point now where if there's a surf competition, the girls will say, Pat, will you just go down and sing to the waters so we've got waves this weekend? You know, it's, and as I say to everybody, you know, for me, the ocean is my very best friend. It is my strength. It is my fitness. It is my health, physical and mental. It is my joy. It is my passion. It's my sport. It's my creativity. It's like the best. How do you treat something like that in your life? You have to develop a relationship. So every time I enter the water, I tell the ocean how much I love it. I'm always grateful. Every time I finish my surf, I always turn and thank you and honour the water. I sing to the waters. When we go out on our boat, we actually gift the water, the ocean, charged crystals from my water wheel. It's you know, when you develop these relationships in nature, it's like the Indigenous say, you look after the land, you look after the water, the land and the water will look after you. And it is so true. It is absolutely so true.
When was the moment, the shift or the extra learning into the composition of water, energy, language, being able to communicate?
I think, you know, so I've always followed my feeling, my heart, my feelings. And going to Hawaii for the first time was such a life-changing experience, and I have absolutely no doubt that it's my time spent in the water with the dolphins, sharing their knowledge, helping me to remember who I am, that this information comes in. And I know they download information, a lot of information, but what happens is it's released as you need it, because it's too much for us to receive all at once. So things come to me all the time, and I know it's come from them. I know they're with me all the time. So I've been there many, many times.
I've
So
heard this
when I,
sort of gating of knowledge in Indigenous communities from elders
yeah,
as well.
I love speaking with the kabi kabi. I go to a meeting every month and we just sit out in the bush around a fire and yarn. And I love it so much because you learn so much about all these things that I love, and it really connects. It's so connected to what I've experienced with the dolphins. So I'm sure this knowledge and this understanding, which keeps coming, is coming from them and my time in the ocean. So it's not new information to us. We know this. We already know this. And this is what the dolphins and the whales, they're like mirrors for us, to help us to remember who we are. And this is really such a strong message from the whales particularly. You know, they saying to me all the time, we know how much you love us and you think we are incredible. You are just as incredible. Don't ever forget it. You are just as majestic as us. And they use that word majesty and majestic a lot. They really do. So the whales are actually holding 70% of the high vibrational frequency of this planet. Their work here is absolutely phenomenal. So the whales and dolphins work together very, very closely. I say it's like the big cousins come up from down south. You see the dolphins leading the way for the whales. When the dolphins and whales come together, they all disappear down. Down they all go for a long time. I'm sure they're scanning each other, they're exchanging information. It's incredible to observe. And their role here on this planet is to help us to shift and help our planet shift. There's absolutely no doubt about this. And so
And you shift
anything that
into the
they
heart space, perhaps like into the
absolutely,
fifth dimension you talked about at the
yeah,
start of the call. Yeah.
absolutely. We really, really needing to shift into that, letting go of the fear, letting go of the resistance, the judgment, all those things that are very, very dense energy. And as we shift back into that higher frequency, we feel like we're home, because that's really us in our true essence. So this is what I love on the boat. You know, I take the general public as well, of course. I don't have to say too much.
Are you about to talk
And,
about some mischief there, Peppy?
and, and you know, we go out and honestly, nearly every trip, people are either in tears. It doesn't matter how old. It doesn't matter what people believe, their values, their religion. As soon as they see these animals, there's this instant open of the heart joy. And it's so beautiful to observe. It's so powerful. And people say to me, why am I crying? And I said, because you are recognizing when you see them, you are seeing something in yourself, because they're mirrors for us. And then with an open heart, I can talk. And it's so beautiful, you know. So depending on who's on the boat, I'd like to talk about so many different things. And this is why I call it a whale or a dolphin experience. It's not just going out and watching them. Oh, no, we're not just watching. We are feeling, we are experiencing, we are really deeply connecting with them and the ocean. Taking the kabi out on our boat was very exciting. I took them to places where I observed the whales and the dolphins spending a lot of time I knew it was a special area. I didn't say anything, and I just said, please tell me about this area. Straight away, oh, this is a songline here. This is where the dolphins and whales come in. This is where they access the land. It's a portal. They are just as much a part of the land as we are of the ocean. It's
You give me goosebumps.
fascinating. So very recently I met some elders from WA who actually have the whale bloodlines, and they spend their whole time walking the whale lines and teaching the whale message. But it's not in the ocean. It's all land. It's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. So they access these points on land which are connected with the ocean. Fascinating.
Peppie, was that also because it used to be a water, like in the centre of Australia, there used to be a water body? What was the, tell me.
The oceans. Used to be oceans in there. So even like the pelican, why does the pelican go back to the Lake Eyre region to have their babies? There's plenty of food here. There's no predator, but every year they fly back to have their babies. And I asked the cubby this, why is this? And they said it's an ancient memory of when inland was all oceans. So this is information's been passed down each generation, so they are still going back. Yeah, it's incredible. The whole animal migration thing is phenomenal. Those whales come up, thousands of miles. There's no food up here. Those mums are producing up to 500 litres of milk a day for those calves to put on. About 45 kilos a day they put on, and there's nothing to eat for those mums. So by the time they go back, they're tired. They've really lost a lot of weight. Yeah, it's phenomenal what they go through to come up and give birth in these warm waters, and to bring their songs, of course. So the songs are fascinating thing. And, I work with different scientists that say, well, there's only one whale song, humpback whale song around the planet, and they all share this one song. Another one says that the humpback whale song is, there's a different song up one coast and then a different song up another coast. And, it's interesting when you talk to the Indigenous cultures, and I've spoke with Aboriginal, Hawaiian, and Maori, they all said to me that they believe the whale song changes every year depending on the consciousness of the people. I mean, get your head around that. So their song is matching our frequency of where we are.
I wonder if people listening to this, that just touched their heart. It totally touched mine. It's so beautiful.
Yep. So there's a scientist in New Zealand that actually has big computers in the forest recording the kauri trees all communicating with each other. Now, when the whales come down the coast, the communication with the trees completely changes. And he's totally convinced that the trees are communicating with the whales, and it's all coming up on his computer. Nature is so highly sophisticated and so highly intelligent. We have so much to learn from nature, all of nature, the whole animal kingdom, the whole plant kingdom.
And so much to listen to, Pep, because I think the more that I feel more connected with animal, water, element, wind, plant, the more easeful I can carry myself in the world.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe that's the letting go of the disconnection that can come from many different aspects of the Western world. There's a increased ease that can come from connecting into the elements.
Absolutely. Nature is speaking with us all the time, and a lot of the time it's very subtle. And I'm I'm observing it all the time now, all the time, because it's always talking to you. And, you know, when you feel that deep connection, when you see everything around you as this incredible, brilliant, highly sophisticated system of sharing and support, the way everything does in nature, when you feel a part of that, well, you feel that you also are supported by that. You're part of that. You're protected by that. It was really interesting. A few years ago, we had a big bushfire come near around our house, and it was nowhere. We actually went to the Gold Coast for a presentation. We didn't know this fire was coming near our house. We got a phone call from a neighbour saying, "You've got 5 minutes to evacuate." And you know what was so interesting? I went into shock because I thought of everything in my home and losing my home. But you know what my intuition was? Straight away was to talk to my big gum tree here. Straight away, I closed my eyes. I went straight to that gum tree and asked for protection. Now, I've never done that. It was just in that moment, I just completely followed my instinct and asked that tree for protection. And the fire went straight past. And, you know, I often sit and observe myself if I'm allowed to just do what feels natural without any questioning. It's really fascinating. It's really, really fascinating.
Oh, Peppie, and if people could get to that stage well before they're a beautiful grandmother like you, that would be pretty awesome. I'm so excited for the future as people become more and more confident and comfortable with being themselves.
Interesting, though, that I observe this with the younger ones. It's almost like that we've got to go through these different processes, and there's a certain time, like Rudolf Steiner talks about this a lot, these 7 years, you know, there's times where you know, we're going through these deep emotional changes before we come back to the soul, before we come back to the spirit and the spiritual as we do as we get older. And you can't ask younger ones to think the same as, because I wasn't like that when I was younger at all. I mean, there's elements I definitely was, but I think I was very much on my own. Growing up, very, very much on my own. I couldn't talk about all these things that I felt and I knew. And whereas now I don't hold back anymore. I've experienced too much. I've seen too much, and I just know too much and I know that this is why I've been asked to speak and do these things, because this is part of my contract, I guess. You know, it's like I've been in this university for so many years, and now I've got to share the knowledge, you know, and help us to reconnect, let go of the fear, connect with nature. It's interesting speaking with quite a few Kabi elders from all around Australia. They all say the same thing, that we're coming back to the time of the grandmothers. And it's very simple. It's a simple rule. You get out of bed, you make your bed. you come out to your family with a smile. And if you're not happy, you go back to bed and get out the other side. You know, it's very, very simple rules. You be kind. You support each other. I really love it. It is so simple, and yet it's very, very powerful, because, you know, children these days are forgetting these basic laws of life, I guess, to do no harm. That's the Kabi Lord. Do no harm to anyone or anything.
Starting from the smile at the start of the day.
Right from the beginning of the day. Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me what you love about being a grandma to your blood grandkids, but I think you're a grandmother to many.
Oh, look, I've got 6 grandchildren, so I've got 3 granddaughters who actually live on the property here with me, and they I love sharing time with them. I love their joys and their youthfulness. I love the fact they love so many things the same as I do. So we're very, very close.
Oh.
My oldest granddaughter is very involved now with acting, and that was, of course, a very big part of my life for a long time. And she's just so involved. She just loves it so much. So what I love is that I can help her. I can share things with her and teach her things. Yeah, I think it's just the joy of the youth because at heart, I'm still such a kid. I'm such a kid. And my mum was the same. She was always, even in her 90s, she said, I'm never going to grow up. I'm
Oh.
always going to be childlike. And we're all in our family, all the females are very, very childlike. So I love spending time with these beautiful children. I feel also after speaking with these beautiful Kabi grandmothers that also it is my role to set
Mm.
boundaries and guidance for these young ones because there seems to be a little bit of a lack of that in this
Mm.
generation. And we need, and so much, even though these girls are not allowed to have very much media at all and they don't have phones or TVs or anything like that, really connecting with the important things in life. And that's a really special gift to give them because I didn't know my grandmothers very well. I never spent much time with them. So I'm really
Mm.
grateful that I can share this knowledge and they understand all this information completely. It's nothing for them to talk about the elemental kingdom or the animal communication, or they just
Mm.
know it all. So the Everglades, in Noosa here, there's only 2 Everglades in
Mhm.
the whole planet, which I find incredible. One's in Florida, and there's a lot of grasslands in that waterway, and a lot of crocodiles, so you can't swim there. So an Everglades system is where it all starts very fresh and then very slowly works its way down through the river system, becoming a little bit brackish and then more and more salt water until eventually it makes its way out to the ocean, which is, of course, what our waterways does here. There are bull sharks there. In fact, we were surfing with them this morning at the river mouth, but, they've got plenty of fish. They don't really worry anyone at all. But going up into those Everglades, there's an area that I call Elemental Alley, and it's very, very still, and the trees all overhang this very narrow part of the river, and the reflections are so incredible that you don't know whether you're looking up into the sky or down into the water. It's like a complete exact mirror of both sides. And I've taken so many photos there, and I look deeply into these photos, and the faces of the elementals up there is just next level. It is
And
so, so
Peppie, if
beautiful.
somebody's not heard the word referred to before, what do you mean by elementals?
So the elemental kingdom is, again, in that higher frequency. They're not really living in the 3D like us. They're living in that fourth and fifth and higher dimensions. You know, they we talk about the fairy kingdom. We talk about the gnomes and the pixies and all these. They all exist in this higher frequency. Some people do have the gift to see them. I have friends that have the gift of seeing them, and they exist. They're all a part of nature. And so when we're up there, the elemental kingdom feels very, very strong. And when I took a beautiful Pitjantjatjara elder from Uluru up there, she had to lie down on the boat. And I said, "Are you okay?" And she said, "This land is so healing. I have to lie down." And I thought that was really, really interesting that she could feel the healing coming from this land. So we're so lucky that we have that just here. Noosa is a really very, very special area. It truly is. I
Mm.
think that's why I've always been drawn here since I was a child. So it
Mm.
always feels like home because it is healing. And it doesn't
Mm.
matter how many people, doesn't matter how many buildings. And, how many $1 million homes and cars and all that. Nothing can affect the deep essence of this place because it's an energy that you can't change. So, yeah. So I'm very, I say lucky to be here, but you know what? It's not luck. I chose it. That's what I say to people. Oh, you're lucky to be here. I said, no, I'm not. I chose it. I knew this is where my home was. So at a soul level, I was always being fed, and of course the ocean here is very, very special. Yeah.
That's one of the pleasures I have in these conversations, Peppie. I get to see people, some of their steps that have led them to be where they are.
Yeah.
And it is a delight to see that becoming clear for people as they notice different aspects of their life and how things have come together. Do you want to talk about the song at all that you were saying that the grandmothers gifted you at Hawaii?
It's only a very short song, and of course it's in their native tongue. And it's to honour the power of the water. They know the Indigenous cultures have been honouring and singing to the waters for centuries. And it's beautiful that these grandmothers have gifted this song, particularly for all the women. So what I do is when I get on the boat, I sing to the east and then the south and then the west and then the north, so the 4 directions. And depending on who's on the boat, we'll sing. Like the other day, had some really good friends on, and we all sang the water song to the dolphins, and they came right up to the boat. They love it when you sing, because when you sing, it's from your heart too. But when you're singing about what they live in, what is a vital part of their life and their information and everything, they love that we're honouring this water. And, so when we sing to the waters, we're also singing to our own water within our bodies. We're actually 90% water by volume. And, there's a lot of incredible information coming out about water now, how it can be programmed and changed. So depending on what is around water, you can actually structurally change the water. Now, if you can do that with a cup of water, you can do that with your own body. So
with the smile at the start of the day, Peppie.
Yes. So almost every day I will say, I activate my body of water to the frequency of, it might be joy, healing, rest, gratitude, whatever. And that structurally changes all the water in my body, It's and I can feel it when I say those words. I can actually feel that change in my body. It's very, very powerful. And again, I can't say enough how extraordinarily intelligent, the water is. And there's an incredible woman called Veda Austin doing a lot of work with the water. And she, at the moment, is working with non-verbal autistic children who are actually communicating with the water because, of course, they can't speak. And the information they're wanting to share is actually coming out. Words are coming out in the water. And it, again, is just next level. Just incredible.
So cool.
It is.
And from what I've picked up through the Telepathy Tapes podcast and also through a dear friend of a friend, Marcus, and his mum that speaks for him through her hands, to have language come through, Peppie, when otherwise it would be quiet. Actually, and even recently I shared watching the movie Coda, which is just so sweet. I love how parts of that movie, they stop the sound so that you can get a bit of a perspective of not having any sound coming into your mind as you're talking about those words, language coming out of the water. It's so exciting. We just live in such times.
It is. And my friend that I work with in Hawaii, she said the whales and dolphins have communicated that this information, that our scientists are not quite ready yet to receive this information, and it would also make the whales and the dolphins too vulnerable. So eventually science will catch up with this, and that's when it will become just next level again, really. So I like to, I'm a kind of a little bit of a bridge between these extraordinary people that are working in this very different level and then the science at the other extreme. And then as information comes through, you know, if I feel it's right, I will send information through to the scientists. So just to start sowing the seed in there, you know, of what might be possible in the future.
I always admire that, Peppie, when I see people who already know the answers to certain things and then they bring the scientists in in parallel to their work so that the rational statistics and the data can be there for others so that it can be more accessible. It's a clever way of doing things.
Yeah, I feel very strongly that the science is really vital too. It's just, you know, it's growing and growing all the time. You know, the work they do is very special. So it's lovely to see both sides of the story. And for me, I'm in the middle and I can put it all together. And I find that really such a gift, such a gift. Yeah.
And Peppie, as you say, there's many chapters to your life and you can bring them all together so that you can talk to many different aspects of life and how lucky people are to cross paths like you and I have been.
You know, looking at life and timelines and things that come into your life. And we talked about this a lot in Hawaii. So important when something comes into your life and you feel very moved and passionate about it, that you do something about it. Like back in the mid-90s, this book came to me from a lady, and this book was Joan Ocean's. And I had such a reaction to this book. I actually put my flippers on and just swam up and down the pool because I didn't know what else to do. I just was so deeply affected by this book. I wrote to Joan and I said, look, your book has had such an impact on me. I have to come to Hawaii and meet you. And now when I look at just following and acknowledging in myself that I am having a very strong reaction to whatever it is in the big picture, but to follow those soul nudges. And it's really, really important to not question it.
Peppie, that's such a beautiful sentiment because I know there's a couple of different ones that are coming to mind as you said that, the soul nudges. And they also come with having to have a bit of courage too, don't they?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I thought she's going to think, who's this woman in Australia, you know? And anyway, as it turned out, when I got there, we're like sisters. We are so alike. We are so close. We have known each other for literally thousands of years.
Hence the story at the start about touching forests.
And that's why it affected me so deeply. But I wasn't to know that at the time, you know. I was only in my mid-30s.
Peppie, to have that feeling of joy and bliss and to see the smile and the happiness on your face, it is just so lovely.
Yeah. So I think that's a really important thing, is to follow those when the universe is really clearly letting you know something, to follow through with that, because there's always a bigger picture, you know. So I will just keep continuing doing my trips and spending as much time with the whales and dolphins and sharing with people and exchanging knowledge. And I'm always saying to the universe, put me wherever I need to be. I'm open to wherever I need to be. And just look at those little signposts that come up, show me where I have to be.
You're talking to others that are asking questions like this. How do you help them to balance the need to chop wood, carry water?
It is. And, you know, that's also a really important part of our life, because we've chosen to be here in this three-dimensional planet. But things are shifting now. And so we have these choices all the time. And I think even in the 3D, I'm always trying to move with love and understanding and non-judgment, always trying to be in that space as much as I can, no matter what anyone else does. It doesn't really actually matter. And the more I can, in the 3D, be in that space, it's a bit like someone said to me, just be a dolphin. Just look at everything and smile and give it love. And it's so true. I've done it so many times, and it just shifts you straight away.
Oh,
And that allows you to stay more in that high frequency and that much nicer vibration. But yeah, we're being tested all the time because this planet needs us to be strong.
mm,
And there's no doubt about it. This is not a walk in the park. It's it's definitely. I was actually just talking to people yesterday about how every day I try and stay focused on this, on my health, on my eating, on my words, on my thoughts, on things that really help create the best version of me as I can, you know. And but being in the ocean is a really big part of that for me. If I don't get to be in, I call it my ocean. I start after like 2 days. I'm like, I gotta go. I gotta go.
nobody getting in Peppie's way. Do you know, I've been really thrilled that many people who are successful that I meet with talk to generosity, and part of their success is being generous and supportive towards others. And I really love that being reiterated, being like a dolphin. It's so cool, Peppie.
Yeah, it really is. It's really, it takes a little bit of practice sometimes because we do get really triggered. It's not always easy, but I'm trying to practice it all the time and getting better and better. When you practice something, you do get better.
Peppie, thank you so very much. As I said, I was so looking forward to this conversation, and it's just been a complete treat. You are divine.
It's such a joy to talk to you, Samantha, and I just love what you're doing. I love the name of it, everything. It's just, it's really, really special.
Thanks for listening to the Natural Genius podcast. Please share this with anyone who came to mind, and visit us at naturalgenius.com.au. Thanks so much.